It's that time of year again. It's present making time. And I wanted to share a few tips and tricks that I learned along the way while making this year's Family 2021 stocking. And we'll also go over how you can make your own. But before all that, remember to press that subscribe and bell button to keep up with all the latest DE Hammer videos. But before we actually get into the video, I also want to say, whether you're a unicorn Santa believer or a alien Santa believer, happy holidays. Hey everybody, a quick message from the editing side of things. When putting this video together, it was getting kind of on the longish side, so I decided to break this up into two parts. First part being the design and putting it together, and the second part of the video will be going over the tool pathing, the speeds, the feeds, all that fun stuff. So be on the lookout for that video coming out. And I also want to let you know the channel has hit monetization, and I just want to give you guys all a big thank you so much. It's fun and can't wait to continue to grow with all y'all, so let's get into this video. All right, first thing first, we're going to be looking at the design. Now, I did this in Illustrator, but you could have easily done this in Inkscape as well. First, went and Googled stocking, got my image, traced it out, and came out with a red part and the white part. Now, I also wanted to make a wooden frame to go around this. So here I just go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and then I can set how far of a distance I wanted to trace around there. And that's how I came up with the wooden frame part. This right here is the same size as this stocking here. So I did an inside path and an outside path. And from here to here, that's where the acrylic is going to sit in the wooden frame. Now, second thing you're going to notice is that the wooden frame is reverse of the acrylic part. And that is so it can fit into the wooden frame like so and face forward. All right, next after that was the font. Now I picked a rounded font because I wasn't going to be trying to do V-carves and that kind of inlay with acrylic. So I needed a way for a font to fit in to the white part, but I can't use a straight font because we have curved bits. Let's just take a font here, like, there we go. This here, that's our font, and pretend we want to cut that into acrylic. Let's say that's our bit. Let's change it down to 2 millimeters. So if this is our bit and it's cutting down, when it gets down to this inside corner here, it's not going to be able to cut a perfect 90-degree angle there. It can cut on the outside here, can get that perfect 90 degrees, but on these inside corners, it's going to leave that corner circular like that. So to avoid that, I tried a circular, more rounded font, but there's still some issues. We can see here, we have that sharp corner on the M, on the A, on the F, the Y, the 1, the 2 here. So needed a way to, I want to be able to cut it all out and then place it in. So my little trick here was, I'm going to be, the bit I used was 1.95 millimeters diameter. So I'm going to put 2.1 by 2.1. There's our ellipse or circle. First thing though, let's click on our text I'm going to go to Object, Expand. And again, I'll show how to do this in Inkscape after we do this one real quick in Illustrator. And so now it's no longer a font. It is just a vector. I'm going to ungroup it from the rest. Let's zoom in here. Now, I'm going to change this real quick. This is just what I prefer. Make this. There we go. And I'm going to get it in here. And what I'm looking for is that the reason I overshape the circle a little bit is so you get this roundedness right here. But we're going to try to minimize that as much as possible. Make sure I'm not selecting that background. And check. And we can just keep moving this out until we make this corner. We want to come in just a little here. So it's just barely, just a little. I mean, we're probably good, but let's see if we can get it a little bit. There we go. That's good. All right. Now in Illustrator, we just select both of those. We come over to the Shape Builder tool. Now I'm going to come in here and make that shape. Make that shape. Now I'm going to hold down Alt, and now I have a rounded corner. And let's change that here. No longer sharp corner. Now our bit can get in there real nice and easily. 1.95 by 1.95. Change it, and we'll show you how it can fit in there. And see, so it can cut that up. Now you'll need to do this for every 90-degree or very sharp corner turns. All right, let's show how to do that in Inkscape. I don't use Inkscape a ton, so just bear with me here. So, but first thing we do is we come out with our text, select it. We want to go Object, I believe, no, Path, Object to Path. Then right click and ungroup, just like we did in Illustrator. And so now we have that item there. Next, we'll create a circle as like we did. There we go. And we'll want to make sure its height is 2.1. Oh, 2.1 and 2.1. There we go. And just like in Illustrator, we'll come down here and get it to where it's just barely overlapping those lines. That should be good. Now we want to select all of that, go to Object, or go to Path, I'm sorry, and then click Union. So now if we zoom in, let's go to our node selection. You should notice that there's a gap there and a gap there. And then we're also on the Edit Paths by Node tool. So we're going to select all these nodes, and then we're going to come up here, and we want break that selected nodes. Click these, and break path that selected nodes. So now we should see that, and we can get rid of all these nodes. Okay, but make sure you have these nodes here. Now we want to select that node and that node. And again, we're going to break path and get those two and break the path. And you should get something like that. Now we should be able to delete those, select and select, break those, select those two, and then join selected nodes. And there you go. You got your rounded corner. And again, you'll need to do that for everything in your text. But once you get that done, it should look something like this. Just see here, I got rid of all of the sharp lines, and now our pieces should fit in nicely to the acrylic. And you can see, oh, make sure you get it the right way. And there we go. Fits in. Fits in. And you may need to go in and clean up the inside of the acrylic a little, but all these fit in well. Now, sometimes you may get like this one right here, it's having a little trouble going in, but that's because I need to come in here and clean it up. But it does finally, you can put some pressure on it, it's not going to hurt it. Now, the second thing with the text is you'll notice that, let's look at that eye real quick and how small it is. That's a pretty small piece. And here it is in real life, small. So when cutting this, you're going to want to be ready at the pause button on your machine, because they can pop out. Now, I'm using the tape and glue method to hold everything down during cutting out acrylic, and it just doesn't have enough surface area to stay attached. It's just so small. Now, I did have some other issues with some of the other letters here and there, so while I was cutting out the letters, I had my hand on the pause button, and I was ready to pause it as soon as I saw it lift, the letter lifting up. Make sure you're able to turn off your spindle as well. Don't want to get your fingers chopped up by that. So I'm really impressed by how small I got these letters. This was all cut out on my LongMill, a 1.95 millimeter 2-flute end bit. Yes, I know there are better bits to use, but that's what I had, and I have blown my monthly CNC budget on acrylic and wood and other things I needed, such as Plastic Weld, and that's what we're going to use to glue all this in. And as you can see here, this has been plastic welded together. These letters as well have been plastic welded in, and it's not going anywhere. I was going to be doing a video on that. I had made a mistake on a 32-hour etch. I cut the holes too big. So I was practicing here. Yes, it's not glue. I know it's not glue. That's glue. But the rest of these four are plastic weld. Right here, you know, I just did it on the side, on the front to see how well they worked, and then I did it on the sides of the rings and inserted them. But there's a lot of great videos on using plastic weld out there, so you should go check them out. But it works, and really there wasn't much point to that video. So I had these two bottles that I was going to be doing the video on, but I was like, man, they're just sitting there, and that kind of helped give me an idea of doing this and putting this together. Now, one of the other things that happened during cutting was I saw this shape come out in the center of our frame. I was like, man, that's a waste. Well, you know what? At least I could spray paint them white and let my daughters paint them. Then I was like, you know what's even cooler? Not that my daughters aren't cool, but more gifts out of the same cuts is make little trays. So I'll get these stained up, and give these out as little presents. So that was kind of cool that I got these parts out of it as well that can, you know, I'm not wasting the whole middle of this board. So once I got everything cut out, it was just a matter of and and the acrylic glued together. It's just a matter of getting it in, putting in the frame. Let's put that there. Don't want to lose that. And now for the back part, this is where the hot glue comes in. And fairy lights. All those are bright. So let's take a quick look at the back here. You can just see I got my fairy lights and I ran them down here and then just hot glued, kind of like spot welding to the side here. One thing, don't try to hot glue the fairy light battery holder to the acrylic. It will pop off when you try to open the casing. Use something like CA glue. That's what I did here, and it's not moving. Also, you can see we can open this. That is only because I removed these 2 screws, and that allows you to open this up. So make sure you take off those 2 screws before you attach the fairy lights to the back of your acrylic. Now let's say you didn't want to put a wooden frame or do the fairy lights. You can just do this. Nice, simple. We'll say you can take, I did for sanding, I just took some micron fiber sandpaper and sanded those down. Well, that wraps it up for this video. And I'm happy with how the Family 2021 stocking came out this year, and I got a few ideas for next year as well. If you got any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and let me know what you're making this year. I'd be interested to know. And if you haven't hit that subscribe and bell button, you can go ahead and do so now. And until next time, keep making stuff.